Mike was talking to Steve Wood. We've got a show coming up, I think 15th of September, and I think exactly 3 days after that show, you became Steve Wood's first champion.
That's a nice memory, something to have. Yeah, fantastic.
Well, do you know something? It was quite a big night. I remember it fairly well. I mean, there was big write-ups in the Manchester Evening News and Boxing News and everything, because Glenn Williams, who was your opponent, even though I think he'd only had 4 fights and I think you'd had 8 fights at the time, was probably quite a big favourite in there. He'd had a very good amateur career. I think he'd had almost 80 fights as an amateur. The Army champion, Northwest Regional champion numerous occasions. Always done well in the ABAs and the elites. And he was also a TV celebrity.
Yeah, so he pretty much had everything going for him, really. When you look at my side of things, but you know.
Well, he was a male model, and he was on Davina McCall's first TV show. I think it was called God's Gift, where he was
something like that.
Yeah, he was the eye candy for the ladies, because it was a bit like the one with Paddy McGuinness, what he does now. Have you seen it on?
I've seen it.
I can't remember the name of it now. Yeah. But it was a bit similar to that, but it was where the girls had the power and they picked from the boys. And he was the one that escorted him down with his top off and a little dicky bow on. And I think it was the fight when it was wrote up about in the papers and the Manchester Evening News when it was happening was Beauty and the Beast.
It was, yeah.
Which were you then?
Oh, obviously Beauty. Yeah, that kind of thing. It was just a bit of publicity, that wasn't it? You know, that sort of thing just went over my head. It just went in one ear out the other. You know, it's a bit of a thing to sell a fight. Probably did get me back up a little bit, but that was up anyway. You know, obviously for the fight, Central area, big opportunity for me.
Did you know Glenn before the fight?
Not personally, no, not really. Obviously, we'd crossed each other, I think, at a few shows and that. When I say crossed each other, you know, we sort of met and let on and stuff, because I kind of knew him from the amateurs, but not as a friend. You know, we never really spoke when we were amateurs.
Well, you were in total different weight categories, because as an amateur, you was a light middleweight.
Yeah, I think he was middle.
I think most of his career he was a light heavyweight.
Right, I think early on though, I think he was middle, because I remember him fighting Eric Noy when I was fighting in the ABA, so I remember him fighting, I think he fought Eric a couple of times ABAs, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, so he's a little bit of a weight above it, but I think he did end up light heavyweight anyway. Yeah. Well,
I think my last fight, he won his semi-final against Dean Kane, who's, not Dean Kane, he was the guy who played Superman, but Darren Mule, do you remember him?
Yeah, I remember Darren Mule, yeah.
Yeah, he KO'd Darren, I think, in the first round.
Right.
But, like I say, he had a top amateur, you know, you were, I think, as a professional, this was your 9th fight, you'd already lost your role, he was 4-0, so he's come into this fight, as quite a big favourite.
Yeah.
Steve was telling us, like, you know, tickets had gone well, and as you can hear in the crowd, the noise was deafening in there.
Yeah, we had a good turnout, both sides. I sold a few tickets, obviously Glenn sold a few tickets, and there were sort of other interesting parts at the fight as well, you know, people, because it was a lot of publicity about it in Manchester, you know, as I say, word got about, and everyone fancied coming down and seeing what was happening, really.
And it was a different era then, because we were saying the Central Area title did really mean something, didn't it? It was a big occasion.
Yeah, it was a big opportunity, you know, like you say at the time, nearly 20 years ago, it was a big stepping stone to be Central Area, because there weren't so many titles about.
Well, there wasn't even an English title then. It was Central Area, then British was the next proper title. So realistically, it was a major stepping stone, and as I say, you know, the Central Area title is the biggest area as well. So really, it was a major title.
Yeah, it was kind of like, I suppose you could call it like a semi-final, quarter-final. You was in the mix then, really. Obviously, if an opportunity came up, then your name was sort of.
Yeah, you was eligible.
You had the opportunity to be pulled out of the hat then, sort of thing. But you know, you were 2 or 3 other people probably. My name was mentioned a couple of times with Frank Malone about fighting for the British title with David Starry, I think it was at the time. Well, obviously things never materialised for one reason or another. You know, obviously, so if your face fits, then You know, you're halfway there, sort of thing.
Obviously, I met you when I was having my second fight. We ended up going to Jersey together, didn't we?
That's right, yeah.
You was with little Johnny White.
Yeah.
And like I say, I think that was near the end of your amateur career then, wasn't it?
I would probably,
you didn't have that many fights after that?
about 10, 11 fights I'd had round about anything.
Yeah.
So about 11 fights, yeah.
So you only had I think you had 14 amateur fights.
14 amateur, yeah.
So it wasn't long after that you packed in. I know you used to work the doors, didn't you, all over the place. And what dragged you back in? Because you'd been away from boxing for what, about 3 years, 4 years before you came back to become a professional?
Yeah, I'd always been training and stuff like that, you know. And obviously when sort of Billy Graham moved in down at Salford with the Phoenix camp at Salford Gym, Lee White was training there. Obviously he just turned pro, and I sort of thought, you know, why not give it a go really before it's too late. I was fit enough. As I say, I was always active. Just went down and had a chat with Steve Foster. He's come along and trained at the gym, and that was kind of it really. Met up with Steve Wood. We sort of sat down again, just had a little bit of a chat, what we wanted to do, and Steve signed us on. So it just sort of went from there really.
So going back to that night, you like I say, you didn't know too much about him, but you seemed really up for the fight, because I always remember you as being a very smooth boxer, and on the night that you fought him, that seemed to go out the window, and you were trying to take his head off from the sound of the first bell.
Yeah, I think again it was like the stigma attached to the fight, you know, like you said, Beauty and the Beast kind of thing, and obviously Glenn with his sort of reputation as, you know, he was sort of well known in bit of TV and stuff like that, modelling, you know, amateur career, he was a decent amateur as well. So it was like, again, a case of the underdog. It's like, it was down to me to sort of prove that I wanted it a little bit more than him, which I did. I personally think I did. Obviously he must have wanted it because he fought for it, he was there.
Well, he started off really sharp, beautiful jab on him, southpaw stance, so I now understand why you went the way you did, because you were gung-ho with your right hand, weren't you, and plenty of left hooks, and it was the perfect style to beat a southpaw.
Yeah, I mean, I've always watched boxing and followed boxing, so you know how to sort of I suppose nullify a southpaw really, and it is with the right hand. You've got to sort of lead with the right hand and work off that, as opposed to trying to work off the jab all the time. Obviously the jab works with certain opponents, but again with the aggression, I thought the right hand, if I lead with the right hand, it catch them, and then
it did
follow up.
It did seem like you could miss on that night.
From sort of the off really.
I think his jab was going really well. The first half of the first round, he was boxing well, boxing on his back foot and just keeping you at bay, and you were having to walk forward and eat a lot of leather. But then you when you landed that first big right hand, I think you put him down. You didn't put him down, but you put him where his bum falls onto the bottom rung of the rope, and that keeps him up a little bit. And that was the beginning of the end really for him, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was just it ended up a little bit too much for him really. The pressure, you know, maybe I don't think he was used to that. People coming forward, or me coming forward, and just constantly, you know. And they talk about being right hand happy, which I think I was that night. But it was landing, so why change something that's working? Obviously it worked, and I don't think Glenn couldn't cope with that. You know, he's a little bit too much for him.
Well, like I say, I think that could have been the first knockdown, but it wasn't. And but I think it was only 20 or 30 seconds later, you caught him in the opposite corner, you put him over again in the first round, so it's twice he's gone down. And he comes out and he starts really well in the second round. He's got his jab going again, he's trying to keep you at bay, but you just land that big right hand again and put him over. And then, do you know what, he was always a bit of a gentleman, but actually he seemed to be he was really up for that. You were looking at him on the floor, and it reminds me of when Muhammad Ali had Sonny Liston over, and he's looking down at him like, you know, stay down.
That's how I actually felt on that. I mean, I can still remember it now. It was a case of, you know, I kept hitting him and hitting him, and it was like, stay down, or you kind of get another one. And all his credit to him, you know, he got up, and it just had to, you know, you have to do that. You just had to get stuck in. It was just
Well,
total aggression, really. You know, the boxing kind of thing went out of the window. I just felt like I had to pressure him, and I knew I could stop him. You know, that's how I felt. That's how confident I felt.
Well, I think by the time he'd gone down the fourth time, he got up again, and his legs a little bit wobbly, and I think the referee eventually stopped it, doesn't he? And,
Yeah.
you know, says no more. But it was 5 minutes of war, wasn't it?
Yeah. I suppose a little bit like the Agler Earns thing, really, wasn't it? I mean, obviously Agler was my idol, but that wasn't in my mind. But that kind of thing, yeah, it was just like total aggression, really, from the first bell. Totally enjoyable fight. I kind of like to fight that way, but obviously you can't. All your fights can't go that way. You can't have your fights like lasting more than 2 rounds. It'd be great if you could, but you're not going to do yourself any favours, really, when you come against bigger guys.
Well, I just wanted to catch that because I was talking to Stephen, he was talking about it, and he remembers it as you do and as I do, you know, really clearly, because it was a defining moment in his career as a promoter. You know, like I say, he became his first champion, as he said. You know, it was a top night for Northwest Boxing, and there was a lot of people talking about that fight on the night, and a lot more talking afterwards, because, like I say, that certainly wasn't being expected.
Yeah.
Well, you reminded me, it was probably 20 years ago when we had our first Central Area title fight on the VIP promotion shows at Bowlers, and you know, it's things like that stick in your memory, because we did Mike Gormley, who was our fighter, against Glenn Williams, who was the favourite, and it was the first area title fight we'd put on as a promotion, and it was the first time we had 2 lads fighting each other who's both selling tickets. So you know, we got a good crowd because it was an anticipated fight. Both sides supported well, and a great fight. I mean, it only lasted 2 rounds, but you know, what a fight for the 2 rounds it was there. And Mike was the underdog, but we fancied him because of his toughness. He wasn't known as a big puncher, but he put Glenn over about 3 or 4 times. And the irony of that is we ended up managing Glenn after that, and he got involved in a few big fights, as well as Mike, who went on to fight Robin Reed for, I think, a WBF world title fight.
But mate, you know, it's always been a pleasure talking to you, mate. It was like I say, it was a night that Steve got his first champion, and it was Beauty and the Beast, and the Beast won.
Yeah, cheers, thanks very much. Yeah, just a little thanks to Steve Wood as well, and Steve Foster. Obviously, you know, I had a short career, but you know, 2 nicest guys in boxing helped me out, you know, along the way. Lee White as well, obviously, you know, big pal of mine, and he was there for me as well. So, cheers, lads. Thanks a lot, Lee.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, mate.